Good day, everyone. Welcome to my second HCI assignment, which is the walkthrough and comparison of my product against an existing product. I'm going to start right away by discussing the existing product I will be comparing my product to. Now, the existing product's name is INKR, is what most people call it, and it is an app created by INKR Comics, and the app aims to provide a space for readers to enjoy various mangas and webtoons at their easiest convenience, that is, their mobile device, through our application. It was released in October of 2020, I believe it was the 15th of October 2020 to be precise, and the app allows the user to customize the mangas they see. Uh, excuse me. The app allows the user to The app allows the users to customize the manga they see specific to their preferences by filtering through certain criteria that the person may have. And all the manga and webtoons on this application were accrued by the company, and that means that the company only has one source for their manga collection, which is themselves. You see here, icon there's the icon of the application here, as well as just a snippet, a screenshot rather, of what the searching function is for the application. Continuing, I will now discuss my application. My application, I have named it Yomu, and it is developed by myself to appease the needs of the current manga consumers, and it's meant to be better than other applications that are currently on the market. This application aims to provide multiple sources to the user in order to allow them to find the best possible source for the content that they want to consume. And it does so by acting as a browser that connects the user to a website that produces manga. And this website would be a website of their choice. And then it streams the list of manga available from that website using any specific criteria the user has entered, such as a genre or which mangas were recently updated or something like that. Essentially this app acts as a proxy for other websites, meaning that there are multiple sources of from which it draws the manga for the user to experience. Continuing on is the user's aim. Now, a user's primary agenda when using any and all manga reading applications is, of course, to be able to read the manga leisurely without any interruptions or problem. The user must only have to deal with the issue of finding any available manga they would want to read, because that is not a choice that can be made by the application for them. Although recommendations based on their past choices is certainly possible. Continuing. The steps required to complete the user's aim. A user must first have the application installed on their available device. Installed and available on their device. The user must also have an idea of what type of content they are looking to read. And after the user defines what they want to read, they must ensure the application has the source or sources to support what they are looking for. Meaning, the application must have whatever they are looking to read or the genre of manga they are looking to read. Continuing. The user must then be able to collect and sort the content that they would like to read in a comprehensive manner that also allows for them to be alerted to any updates on any manga they are currently reading. And finally, the user can then begin reading whatever manga they see fit once those steps are accomplished. Now, who are the users? The users is anyone and everyone who has a passion and want to read manga leisurely. And these people could range from maybe 15 or 16, all the way up to 50 years old. But usually, the people are between ages of 15 to 28, because after that, they kind of fall off a little bit. But there are a lot older readers who enjoy the manga, who enjoy reading manga. Such and same likewise can be said for comic books as well. Now, I can assume that these people are relatively tech savvy, especially the ones who read manga, who aim to read manga on their phones. I can assume that they are relatively tech savvy and are able to understand the nuances of reading uh, mangas versus webtoons versus manhwas, because there are certain differences, such as the reading style. Now, continuing on. Now, comparing the app's task accomplishment systems. With both apps, I will be giving them the same task, that is locating and favoriting manga to add to a user-made library. You would understand. If you don't at the moment, you would understand what I mean by favoriting further on the line. Now, Yomo. To achieve the first task, that is locating a manga desired by the user, the first thing that must happen is the user must have sources installed. These sources must have the desired manga of the user, and if the user does not have any sources installed at all, the app would prompt them with a few popular sources that is widely used by other persons. This is this is a mock-up of what the sources tab would look like for the user to install the sources. Now, after sources have been installed, the user can do a search among all available sources to find the desired manga. Granted, they know the name they know the name of the manga that they are searching for. If, however, the name is not known and the user is simply searching for a specific genre of manga, then they can select any source, any one of the sources. They can select any one they want to use and use the filter system available to scour the source to locate a manga that would suit their interests. As you can see here, um, after installing sources, they would have the sources tab and they could see their installed sources. They could click on any one of these sources, which would allow and it would allow them to see all the available manga from that source. And there's also a search button on this page. There will also be a search button. Maybe somewhere here you could see a search button where you could search all the sources for the specific manga they're looking for, if they know what they are looking for already. Continuing. To complete the second task now, that is to add a desired manga to our favorites tab, that will allow for easy recovery of said mangas, as well as provide updates to that manga and many others that are saved in that favorites tab, or a library rather, of favorited manga. To complete this, the application requires the user to select whichever manga they intend to add to the tab, and from there, the application will sort the manga and others added in that tab in alphabetical order, which is the default setting. It could change depending on how the user wants it to be sorted. Obviously, that is another setting that is available for the user. Um, it will be sorted and others in alphabetical order in a library that can be accessed at any time within the application by the user. From there, the user can of course change the settings of this library, whether that be visually or even if they intend to split the library into different categories. So let's say they have a action category, then they have adventure, then they have fantasy, sci-fi. They could split up all the manga that they read into different categories so that it's easier to find which ones they're looking for in their own library, of course, according to a predetermined criteria that the user has. That's the predetermined criteria is what I just explained. It would be possible to name the libraries different names at that point in order to avoid confusion for the user. Meaning, if it's about sci-fi tab, they could name the library sci-fi instead of all the libraries being named favorites or libraries per se. Yeah. So they can name it sci-fi, they can name it adventure, or any kind of genre that is available for mangas, or anything they want really. Here's an another mock-up of what the library tab would look. So in the top left here, you see the this little box here would have the name of the library tab, and it will also yeah, it would have the name of the library tab, and and below that is also the assorted mangas in the library tab. That is that the excuse me. It is the assorted mangas within the library tab. Continuing, INKR. To begin with the first task, that is locating the manga of choice, a user has two options. They can either start a manual search through INKR's own database of manga, and the other way of locating manga is through a similar filter system that my application will also have. This filter allows the user to sort available manga. Excuse me, as I was saying, this filter allows the user to sort available manga using an array of criteria that can be selected and unselected at the will of the user. I believe I do have an image of said filter. As you can see, the filter system is here. I could choose action, alternative world, animals, coming of age, etc., etc. It's yeah. On a side note to the filtering system that in the INKR app is that a lot of mangas require some sort of monetary subscription to continue reading them. And this is not to be confused with the type of subscription to be mentioned in the next slide. The subscription is a purchase to the app that allows the user to continue reading any manga series that they have started, and in some cases, chapters may have to be purchased regardless of a subscription to the app being present on the user's account. Might talk about that later. Now, to accomplish the second task, once the user has found the manga that they wish to keep track of, they can subscribe to a manga, which is basically the same feature as my favoriting feature in my application. They can subscribe to that manga, which will allow them to keep track of their reading process and with reading process with it, and as well as any future updates that the manga receives. In order to utilize the subscribe feature, a user would have to create an account or connect either their Gmail or Apple account to the application. As you can see here, here's a screen of what that a screenshot of what that system would looks like. As you can see, there's a continue with email, meaning continue with a email that you are signing up for the application. You continue with your Gmail account. You could continue with your Apple account. Okay, continue. The differences between my application Yomu and INKR. In terms of the ability to locate manga, both applications approach the task in a similar, nearly identical manner. The difference between both applications lies in the available sources that the consumer can choose from. The INKR app only contains mangas that INKR as a source offers, while Yomu offers multiple sources to ensure that the user finds the best possible source for a specific manga they want to read. A major difference occurs as well when it comes to the task of favoriting a manga, having it shown in a tab that allows the user to keep track of the reading process, as well as the updates of that manga. The difference shows itself when INCAR demands that an account be created or linked to the application in order to facilitate that effect, as opposed to YOMO. Within INCAR, it is also not possible to sort favorited or subscribed mangas into categories like YOMO allows. Now moving on to the ISO standards of usability. ISO 9241-11 is defined to entail the extent to which a system, product, or service can be used by specified users to achieve specified goals with effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction in a specified context of use. With the iron care application and how it functions, it can not be said that every user will have a bad time interacting with the systems in place. However, there are some features that may not meet the level of satisfaction or effectiveness that would otherwise be required to conform to the ISO standard. Having to pay/subscribe to the service for continued reading of a manga could pose a problem, especially if the manga could be found for free in other places, albeit that is a different topic entirely. But simply sticking to the way the application is monetized, it is foreseeable that an economic harm could occur onto a user, which will in turn obviously affect the satisfaction of that user. Evaluating the UMO application with the same standard, it can be seen that the monetization of the application occurs very differently to that of the INKR app. Having the monetization in the forms of ads effectively removes any economic harm that may occur within the app itself, albeit not entirely in the case of a bad product being advertised. However, keeping with that form of monetization will allow users to read mangas they enjoy without the need to pay to continue reading them. Obviously, a system such as this would see an increase in satisfaction of its users, and as such, effective use as well, as persons are free to read to their heart's content, so to speak. Now, the ISO standard of usability, ISO/IEC 25022, is a standard that provides measures for freedom from risk, whether that be the risk of the consumer's economic, mental, environmental state, or even their overall health. As it was stated previously, the Ironcarer app has a subscription feature that allows the user to subscribe to their service in order to read certain specified manga to the user's content. However, there is also a feature that requires the user to pay for certain manga chapters. This feature would mean potential economic risk for the consumer, because the consumer may purchase the reading rights of an available manga, only to dislike said manga after reading it for some time. It is only after purchasing the chapters of the manga can the consumer realize that they may not like the direction that the manga is heading and wish to effectively drop the manga. But at that point, they would have already spent the money on it, and there would be an economic incentive for the consumer to continue reading the manga even if they dislike it. An app such as this one can have adverse mental effects on the consumer as well. However, that would be entirely subjective to the consumer, who is in total control of what they read, therefore removing that fault from the app. In the case of the Yomo application and how it is monetized, completely differs from that of the INKR. There can still be economic risk associated with it, however. Suppose an ad is shown on the platform that the consumer sees and is initially interested in. However, when that consumer purchases the product, it did not arrive with the same quality being shown in the advertisement. A case like that can be a big economic risk for the user, as they would have effectively wasted money. In that same token, an ad can also have an adverse effect to a person's health. Suppose an ad has blinking lights and a person has epilepsy, that ad will directly affect and endanger that user. In cases like these, the ads being shown must be monitored by the developers, which would be myself, of the app. What I have learned from this project. From doing this project, I have learned quite a bit about the ISO standards and the existence of quite a few of them, and the knowledge that there are many that I may never truly know because of the sheer amount of them. I've also learned from this project, about some of the monetization methods of another manga reading application, one that I have not used prior to this assignment, in order to try to bring about as impartial a judgment as I could. And I want to thank you for listening to this presentation. Goodbye.